Levina, you are muted there.
Thank you for that. Sorry. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, hello.
Welcome.
Yes, so Godfred, I mean, just give it a go ahead so that she can start. Yeah.
Yeah, Avina, you can start. The meeting has started.
Perfect. I'd like to welcome each one of you to this very important webinar ahead of World No Tobacco Day that will be commemorated next week on 31st May. My name is Elvina Majiwa. I'll be your moderator for today. Yes, I can see so far we are around 30 people streaming in. So feel very welcome. And stay with us on till the end. So we are going to discuss a few things, and we'll first understand what unmasking the appeal is. So before we begin, what unmasking the appeal is ahead of World No Tobacco Day, I'd like to first set the scene. Welcome Mr. Labram Musa, and a bit about Mr. Labram, who will welcome our next speaker, who is from WHO. So Mr. Labram is a leading public health advocate and policy expert, known for his extensive work in the NCD space, not only in Ghana, but across Africa. So he's currently serving as the executive director for the World Vision for Accelerated Sustainable Development. He's also the national coordinator of Ghana NCD Alliance, and is also the West Africa Regional Representative and Secretary for Africa NCD Network. Mr. Musa is the author and co-author of several influential publications and policy publications that have contributed significantly to the national and regional public health strategies. Globally, he has played an active role in health policy, advocacy, platforms, and research collaborations. So he is affiliated with major international organizations such as the NCD Alliance, ATCA, Movendi International, Global Tobacco Control Alliance, and he's contributed to global dialogues. So we really welcome you, Mr. Labram. And recently, he is one of the 2025 World No Tobacco Day Award winners. So welcome and congratulations. So Mr. Labram, thank you so much. Karibu sana.
Karibu sana. Yeah, thank you very much, Lavina. I'm grateful for those remarkable introductions. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yes. So distinguished guests, country representatives, colleagues, partners, and fellow advocates, as well as young people joining us today. It is indeed a privilege, to welcome you all to this important regional webinar on the sideline of the World No Tobacco Day 2025. This webinar is themed Rising Trends in Emerging Tobacco and Nicotine Products in Africa, the need for youth-led action and regional collaboration. This is part of a series of activities planned to commemorate World No Tobacco Day 2025, and we are beginning it here. I know a couple of activities have taken place already, but we are also commemorating it, and then hopefully we'll have a series of activities, line up in the course of the week, days ahead. Today, we are joined by participants from across Africa and beyond, representing diverse nations, but united by a common mission to safeguard health and the future of our young people from the growing threat of emerging tobacco and nicotine products. The objective of this webinar today is to examine the growing presence of tobacco industry and marketing strategies of emerging tobacco and nicotine products in Africa, and it also showcase country-led experiences, regulatory gaps, and enforcement challenges that we are faced in Africa. And then finally, to solicit and incorporate the views and experiences and recommendations of young people on these issues that we are confronted with in this part of our world. This time of the year is always a powerful reminder for advocates around the world to amplify our voices and intensify efforts to expose the devastating impact of tobacco use and exposure to tobacco smoke. While the fight against traditional cigarettes and tobacco continue, a new and deceptive danger has emerged. I'm talking about the vapes, the e-cigarettes, and other novel and emerging nicotine products. These products, with their sleek design, sweet flavors, and aggressive online marketing, are crafted to appeal to young people, their minds, and then trapping them into addiction before they fully become aware or understand the risk involved. While what makes this threat even more alarming is its subtleness. Unlike burning cigarette and tobacco, which has long carried a visible stigma, these new products are marketed as modern, safe, and even fashionable. Yet, behind the flavoring and flashy, glamorizing packaging lies the same addiction and harmful substances, including nicotine and other harmful ones. We now see a troubling trend. I'm talking about many of our young people and youth who have not had prior exposure to smoking. They have never used tobacco or cigarette in their life, are now getting hooked to these products under the illusion of safety. What is more worrying is that these young people are gradually moving to traditional cigarettes when they have not, did not get, when they did not get, the vapes and the cigarettes or the e-cigarette that are currently being marketed in our part of the world. In Ghana, we have worked hard to keep smoking prevalence below 5%, a success story we are not taking for granted. And I know that there are other countries that have also done well by bringing smoking, to a very minimal level. But we are now facing a new front in the fight: rising rate of vaping among teenagers, and then also the false narrative that e-cigarettes and similar products are safe alternatives, even likened to condom in the HIV/AIDS prevention, is not only misleading but dangerously irresponsible. Condoms prevent diseases. Nicotine products fuel addiction and chronic health conditions like the upsurge in non-communicable diseases that we are faced with in recent times. This year's World No Tobacco Day, a theme Unmasking the Appeal, exposing tobacco industry tactics and nicotine products, serves as a timely call to action, and we like to thank WHO for this timely theme. It wouldn't have come, earlier than today. I think that this is very timely, and we thank WHO for this theme. The theme reminds us that the tobacco and nicotine industry has not relented. They continue to evolve their tactics, using influencers' digital platform to normalize and glamorize tobacco and its use. Their objectives remain the same: profit, at the expense of public health. What concerns me most is the vulnerability of the emerging generation. We need to act boldly, unite, and also, with agency. Ladies and gentlemen, the responsibility to reverse this trend does not lie within government or with government or health professional alone. It's a shared responsibility, a shared duty. Parents, teachers, community leaders, researchers, religious groups, civil society organizations, and most importantly, young people themselves must rise and take ownership of these fights. If we fail to act now, we risk watching an entire generation bear the lifelong burden of addiction and poor health and continual upsurge in NCDs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to use this platform also to congratulate Madam Levina, our moderator for this event, and also for receiving the WHO World No Tobacco Day Award for 2025. Congratulations, Madam Levina. Let us let us protect the future. Let us speak to power, expose industry deception, and hold actors, I'm talking about policymakers and those who are responsible for our healthcare responsible and accountable. A tobacco-free future is not a dream. It is within our reach, and of course, but we can only, achieve this if we work and act together. I thank you all, for making the time out of your busy schedule to join this meeting, especially Dr. Olivia Boatin, for her dedication to this cause, and of course for joining today's important national, regional, and global event, which requires the attention of us now than ever. I thank you, and I wish all of us a very fruitful engagement. Thank you, and over to you, Levina.
Wow, beautifully, beautifully said, Mr. Labram. You really set the scene for us. And one key thing that stood out is if we don't act now, we risk a whole generation. And this is because of the deaths that can occur because of the tobacco industry. Beautifully done. Thank you so much. I'd like to share a few ground rules. So there's a chat section where I'd like us to introduce ourselves. Just tell us where you're joining this webinar from and which organization you're from. So under the chat section, feel free to interact there. We have another tab for the Q&A. So also feel free to ask questions as the webinar goes on. We're going to address those questions later on once we open the panel discussion and towards the end of the webinar. Right now, I'd like us to welcome Dr. Olivia Boateng, who is the WHO FCTC focal point, tobacco control in Ghana. She's also the director of tobacco and substance abuse in the food and regulatory division in Ghana. So welcome, Madam Dr. Olivia. If you can share your screen and tell us more about this emerging product. So what are they?
Thank you very much, Elvina. The name Elvina, yes, Elvina, thank you. And thank you, Labram, for organizing this all-important webinar with all the other team players across the nations, across Afro region. Do I do my presentation now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so then let me share the slides. And congratulations to you, Elvina and Labram, for the awards you won, WHO Director General Special Recognition Award, for all the efforts you've put in place for tobacco control regulation. We are super proud of you, Labram and Elvina. Labram, Ghana is proud of you. This is a win for Ghana. It's not just you, it's a win for Ghana to show that our efforts are being recognized. So, like Melvina rightly said, my name is Dr. Olivia Jekumwa Boateng, the Director for Tobacco and Substances of Abuse Directorate, Food and Drugs Authority, and I'm the focal person for tobacco control in Ghana. My presentation outline is as follows. So I will give you an introduction, a brief introduction, then an overview of the emerging trends, There's scientific evidence on safety. So these products are being marketed as reduced harm products. Are there any such reduced harm products? When all our advocacy has been, there's no safe form of tobacco use. Industry is now trying to, especially on the younger ones, play on their emotions to give them alternatives as these are safe. Does the evidence suggest so? I will give you statistics in Ghana, even in relation to the emerging products and the progress of tobacco control regulation, the legal framework or the situation that we have in relation to the emerging trends, the electronic nicotine delivery systems, tobacco control activities that we have done in relation to these products. There's been challenges. What have we done to offset these challenges? Give a few recommendations and then the lessons that we learn as we go along. So all of us gathered on the call know that tobacco use remains a major public health issue, especially in low and middle income countries like Ghana. Over 80% of the world's 1.3 billion tobacco users live in these regions, where secondhand smoke exposure causes around 1.2 million non-smoker deaths annually. This is a slide showing how beautiful and appealing these products are. Electronic nicotine delivery systems, also known as e-cigs or vapes, are battery-powered devices that deliver nicotine to the user through an inhaled aerosol. These devices typically contain nicotine, flavorings, and other chemicals. Some may also not contain nicotine, but they have other chemicals. Whoosh, it's not moving. This slide is showing the emerging products. So even the combustible ones, like the cigars and things, because of how fashionable the industry wants them to look and be appealing to particularly the youth, you can see that the regular pipes or cigars now have e-pipes. We actually have e-shisha. Then the e-liquid flavor wheel, you can count thousands and thousands of flavors just to appeal to the youth. It's ice cream, champagne, berries, anything that you can think about that makes these products very appealing. Industry has put them into the vapes. And what's the scientific evidence on the safety of these products? I mentioned in my intro that their industry is trying to say these are safer forms. Are they safer forms? And this studies or research that has been done by the American Heart Association is vaping better than smoking. And e-cigarette promoters claim the devices can help people quit smoking. So other countries, some countries are using it as cessation. And where they use them as cessation, it's been realized that people then have a dual use. Instead of quitting, they actually will do the combustible and also have the vaping as convenience. American CDC about e-cigarettes, vapes, smoking, and tobacco. In October 2024, e-cigarette aerosol is not harmless water vapor. It can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including flavorings such as diacetyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease, and other flavoring agents. WHO also has some data to show that they typically contain nicotine and other toxic substances that are harmful to both users and non-users who are exposed to aerosols, secondhand smoke. So the problems we are having with the combustible, we will have same problems with these vapes or e-cigarettes. Then the safety continues. Most e-cigarettes deliver nicotine, which is highly addictive and can harm the developing brains of teens, kids, and fetuses in women who vape while pregnant. Some types expose users to even more nicotine than traditional cigarettes. Because these products in most countries don't even undergo regulation, the nicotine that we have in the combustible will be low, will be so high that we have no idea what these products would contain. In addition to nicotine, e-cigarette vapor includes potentially harmful substances. I've already mentioned that acetyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease, cancer-causing chemicals, volatile organic compounds, and heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. So we know that these are not safer forms at all. The liquid used in e-cigarettes can be dangerous even apart from its intended use. Children and adults have been poisoned by swallowing, breathing, or absorbing the liquid through their skin or eyes. And so this slide also talks about how unsafe these products are and which lead to leading preventable deaths or mobilities. This slide is showing a device that has exploded. And you can see an X-ray imaging of what happened to the mouth when somebody was vaping. So there are potential effects of explosion, even if when they are vaping. This is statistics in Ghana. In Ghana, shisha use is rising with 7.8 prevalence rates, and 44% of these are women, signaling growing popularity among youth and females. There's this misconception that because it passes over water, all the toxins or the chemicals remain in the water. So what they are actually inhaling is safe. And that is what we have mounted an aggressive public education against, for them to know that they are not safe forms and it's as dangerous as the combustible. It's the secondhand smoke exposure is still widespread in workplaces, affecting 15.2% men and 13.3% of women. The Global Youth Tobacco Survey reveals that 8.8% of students aged 13 to 15 use tobacco, and 4.9% use e-cigarettes or vapes, with near equal usage among boys. That's the ratio of 4.9 to about 5 in girls. These trends underline the urgent need for targeted prevention, especially among young people and emerging nicotine use. Recently, Ghana did the STEP survey in 2023, and the report shows that our prevalence is 4.8%, and Labram mentioned it, of adults smoking, with a significant gender gap, 9.3% of men compared to just under 0.3% of women. Alarmingly, young people are beginning to smoke earlier, with an average initiation age of 18.7 years. So all our targeted interventions are targeted towards the data that we have generated. This is a progression of how far we've come for tobacco control regulation. So in 2004, we ratified, a bill was drafted in 2005, 2007 with a ministerial directive. There were bans of tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship registration, and all those were put in place. Then in 2012, the Public Health Act was passed, and LI was also passed in 2016. 2019, we ratified the illicit trade in tobacco products, which we are domesticating. We deposited it the UN in 2021. WHO FCTC 2030 project has supported us to augment all the gains we are doing, and we have even done a 5-year strategic development plan. Last year, with the Tupafa project, we're able to do a lot of work on public awareness, and it's still ongoing. This is our legal frame that situates with the vaporizers or the e-cigs or the electronic nicotine delivery system. So those products are banned in country, except for cessation. And as we speak, we do not even have any registered for cessation, because if you use it for cessation, it has to be given market authorization and be treated like a prescription-only medicine and be controlled. And we do not have any such registered. So the Public Health Act Part 6, the Tobacco Control Regulations, and the FCTC Treaty, which is also an addendum of our law. Under the Part 6, it defines what a tobacco product is, and it says it's a product entirely or partly made of tobacco leaf as a raw material, which can be smoked, sucked, chewed, or sniffed. A critical consideration of the definition of ends does not include any natural leaf or any natural products. These ends are synthetic products, and so our law doesn't allow us to regulate synthetic products. And this is how it describes the ends. The descriptions as indicated in the provisions below can be said to properly fit ends, as these products are non-tobacco-based products per our law. So the section 61.2 and 62.1 defines what you cannot sell, and these descriptions fit ends. You shall not sell, display for sale, supply, or advertise a non-tobacco product or service that contains, either on the product or in an advertisement of the product, a writing, a picture, an image, graphics, message, or other matter that is commonly identified or associated with, or is likely or intended to be identified or associated with a tobacco product, brand, or manufacturer. A person shall not package, label, or offer for sale a product that looks like or is likely to be identified or associated with tobacco or tobacco products. And the LI also specifies that a person shall not manufacture, import, export, supply, possess, or offer for sale an illicit tobacco or tobacco products. So any of these products that we find on our market, they are illicit products. We do raids and swoops to raid the markets of them, and we safely dispose them, and we bring regulatory sanctions to the perpetrators. Hence, the sale and advertisement of ends, vapes, and non-nicotine products contravenes Part 6 and sections 61.2 and 62.1 of the Public Health Act 2012, Act 851, as well as Regulation 16 of the Tobacco Control Regulations 2016. We've actually had the industry come in for pre-submission meetings to try and say that it falls within our law, but per this, we have not registered any, because as the law stipulates, these products are banned. What are the activities that we do to ensure that the products banned do not come into the country? Those in the country, what do we do with it? And what else have we been doing? We've engaged in aggressive, continuous public education campaigns across various platforms, including traditional media, the schools, communities, social media. We've done press releases with a specific focus of ends and the dangers it poses to their health and the situation, its status being banned products. We do routine monitoring of public places and social media platforms to detect and address unauthorized advertisements, promotion, sale, and use of tobacco products. Our law actually has absolutely banned tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. Occasionally, we see indirect adverts on social media and they pull down the adverts and we bring them under compliance. Enforcement activities and targeted operations, swoops to identify and seize illicit products. Then we have done nationwide training for enforcement officers to appreciate this law and know that the products are banned, so they assist in enforcement across our border towns, across our borders, at the ports of entry, for them to know that all these products are banned, and so they should seize them when they find them. Collaboration with stakeholders to engage in international and regional information sharing and joint operations. So this slide is a slide when we're having the training for for our regional officers nationwide, for them to appreciate the dangers associated with ends and the regulation of ends and what we should do as a country. This is a slide showing our officers in a shop where there are e-cigs and these newer trains and illicit products, and they are seizing them. These are also seizures that we're doing. These are our public educations that we do in schools, and for them to know these ends are not safe. Then we issued a press release on the status of vapes or ends in the country to show they are banned. It can only be used for cessation, and if cessation, it will go through regulation. We will check what it contains, the nicotine content and everything, to ensure that it is safe for cessation before we would allow it to be used. And that will be a prescription-only medicine, will be added to our treatment protocols for tobacco cessation. For now, we do not have any such use. What have been the challenges? So low public awareness, and I've mentioned that because of the propagation of reduced harm that was ongoing, we had to counteract that with our aggressive public education. The ends market is constantly innovating with new devices, liquid formulations, and nicotine strains. This rapid evolution makes it difficult for regulations to keep pace, as new products may fall outside existing legal definitions. So they have come with all sorts of definitions. They said nicotine is health food. They wanted to register it. We declined. They went to Ghana Standards Authority to set standards for them. Ghana Standards Authority actually wrote to us if they could go ahead, but we sent them to law to show that it is banned. So they also declined. So they have been going around, but thankfully the law deals with it. Then unauthorized points of entries for tobacco products and free movement of people and goods across the ECOWAS sub-region. And this we try to prevent by strengthening our border control. There's also the propagation that ends are safer and can be used as harm reduction therapy. And this is negating all the gains we have made. So we are also aggressively, with the help of civil society organization, antagonizing this message and sending this message across for all, especially the youth, to know these are not safe as they are being propagated. What are the recommendations? Enhance enforcement of tobacco control measures to rid the markets of illicits. We routinely do that. Increase in advocacy, we do that all the time. Constant public sensitization programs in schools. We go to markets, churches, neighbors. We are there to give the necessary education. Collaboration across all stakeholder levels, institutions, CSOs, security agencies, Ghana Revenue Authority or Customs at the border control, the Ghana Police. We have done training for all of them, and we are all on the same page and ensuring that these unsafe products do not flood our markets. Then investigate occurrence or existence of other drivers of illicit tobacco trade, as well as research. What are the lessons learned? Leveraging civil society. I've been mentioning civil society. So we have very aggressive, stable, hard-working, committed civil society that we work with, and they are in all the communities where we cannot go, and we partner with them to do all these. We're engaging passionate individuals in NGOs, youth groups, and communities, mobilizes vital support from politicians, the public, and key influencers. Their voices amplify the call for action and hold decision makers accountable. Then building a strong foundation. Clarity is key, and having a clear roadmap with defined objectives ensures efficient use of resources and keeps all stakeholders aligned in the fight against tobacco use. So we are in this together. It's a collaborated effort, and we are not leaving anybody behind, especially the youth groups as well. We work with all of them, and we engage them particularly on the social media platforms, because this is where they are found. So we have a lot of developed educational materials that we routinely share for their engagement and work with them. We have also recognized the crucial role of diverse sectors, from health to finance, non-health actors like the security agencies, those who give us intelligence, to do intelligence-led raids and swoops. This collaboration is what is augmenting the regulation that we have carried on. Then communication plan, identifying media campaigns and communications channels, local research, statements, releases, social media, and having a strategy in mind, being aware of industry influence and interference, the front groups, as we engage the media. Around this time, same time, you find them also in other media propagating the reduced harm products, but we also go in with our messages to counteract what they are doing. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And I do not know if I would have the questions now or it will be after the end of the other resource person's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olivia, for that powerful presentation. There's so many lessons that African countries can learn from the case of Ghana and the progress you've made with having similar challenges across Africa. There's so much that we can definitely learn and collaborate on. Thank you so much. So still in the same voice, we're not leaving anyone behind. Would like to move on to the next segment of this webinar, and we'll be listening to country experiences from Kenya, Ghana, Zambia, and Uganda. Before then, I'd want them to switch on their microphones, the panel. So from Kenya, we have Thomas Lindi. Thomas Lindi, please say hello to us.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Is it possible for you to switch on your camera? So Thomas Lindi is currently the coordinator of Kenya Tobacco Control and Health Promotion Alliance, an organization that brings together various civil society organizations involved in tobacco control in Kenya. In addition to his role at KETCA, Mr. Lindi has a master's degree in public health, and he is a research fellow in tobacco control policies with Africa Center for Tobacco Industry Monitoring Policy and Research. So he holds a master's in monitoring and evaluation and a bachelor's in community development. So he has served in the board as a board member at the Non-Communicable Disease Alliance of Kenya, a national umbrella body for organizations involved in advocacy. So Mr. Lindi's bio goes on, and we'll share it with each one of us in the webinar. But thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Lindi from Kenya. We're also joined by Kodua from Ghana. Kodua, please say hello to us and kindly switch on your camera.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mr. Kodua. Yes, definitely, we can see you. So Mr. Kodua is a committed public health advocate, a biomedical scientist and data analyst with a strong focus on addressing the burden of non-communicable diseases and the impact of health-harming products and populations across Africa. He currently serves as a policy and research officer at Ghana NCD Alliance and Vision for Accelerated Sustainable Development, VAST Ghana, where he provides technical leadership in shaping policy advocacy, multi-sectoral engagement, and strategic communication. Thank you so much for joining us, Kodua.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'd want to welcome Zambia. Banda from Zambia, please say hello to us and kindly switch on your camera.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Banda. Welcome very much. So Mr. Banda is a purpose-driven communication and advocacy specialist with a strong background in development communication, digital media strategy, and strategic policy advocacy. He has worked extensively in the intersection between media, governance, and civil participation with organizations like USAID, and he's leveraged storytelling and digital tools to shape narratives and influence policy change. He served as the president of Young Professionals Network, YPN Zambia, a vibrant network, over 250 young people. Wow, that's impressive. Young leaders who have been actively championing for tobacco control policies in Zambia. So thank you very much and welcome. We'll also lastly welcome Mr. Baguma. Mr. Baguma, please switch on your camera and say hello to us. Baguma from Uganda. Are we able to see Baguma from Uganda? So as he yes, Baguma, please switch on your camera and say hello to us. Your microphone, please. We are unable to hear you, so kindly switch on your microphone. The microphone. Mr. Baguma. We are unable to hear you. Okay, so as he sorts out the microphone issues, I'd like to share my screen. Before then, so Mr. Baguma is currently the Secretary General of the United Nations Association of Uganda. He has a background in communication. So he's a communication analyst with a solid experience of working in mass media, public relations, and communication. He's skilled in behavioral change, communication, journalism, training, and in the non-profit organizations, policy advocacy, and also strategic communication. He has also contributed greatly to tobacco control efforts in Uganda. I'd like to share my screen. Yes, so the flow will be from Kenya, Ghana. Do we have, yes, Zambia, and followed by Uganda. So regarding your country level experience, please tell us about where we are in regards to emerging tobacco products, answering on the progress we've made so far, regulatory gaps, and enforcement challenges in addressing emerging tobacco products. So I'd want to welcome the Kenya representative, Thomas. Please tell us more about this.
Yeah, thank you very much, Elvina. And also, congratulations on the award. Yourself and our good champion from Ghana. I think you're making us more proud. That is Labram and everyone that was awarded. Now, and also thank you, the previous speaker, Olivia, I think you have shed more light on what is happening in your country. In Kenya, we are witnessing a rapid rise in the use of emerging tobacco and nicotine products, particularly among youth and young adults. So we are seeing products like e-cigarettes, vapes, nicotine pouches, shisha, and flavored tobacco products being introduced in the country. Most of them are imported, I would say, to our country, and this is very worrying. A recent study conducted by the NACADA, that is the National Authority, shows that 45% of university students in Kenya have used at least one substance or another. And among these emerging tobacco products, we have 4.6 who have used nicotine pouches, 8.5 e-cigarettes and vapes, 10% shisha, and 13% cigarettes. So I think from this study, we can just deduce that apart from cigarettes, there is this issue of shisha, which was banned in Kenya. In 2017, Kenya banned the use of shisha, but despite the ban, we are seeing that many people are still using it. The surge in usage of emerging tobacco products can be attributed to a number of factors. And I will say that key among them is the issue of the marketing, deceptive marketing by the tobacco industry. We have bright colors on these products. We have flavors, very nice flavors, mango mint, berry, and the design is very sleek. They are tech-like devices that even parents may not be able to know that these are tobacco products if your children are using it. You may think that it's a flash disk or something like that, but these are a huge problem, whereby even parents have found their children with some of these products. And I think we have even shared reports on different forums of parents complaining that I found my kid with this product. What is it? They don't know. So I think the main problem with us is the big industry players like British America Tobacco, because they are also getting into this product. We have small importers who have been doing this. But when in 2019, BAT announced that they were bringing in nicotine pouches, I think that's when a lot of people started developing interest. You know, these are multinational, and they have a lot of investment in this. So they have been bringing nicotine pouches in our country against the law. And to rapidly boost the uptake, BAT employed social media influencers who distributed free sample of these products. They organized promotional events among university campuses. And these were tactics clearly aimed at attracting young people into using these products. And on their website, they are announcing that these are reduced risk profile products. And they are listing a number of products that they claim that they are reduced risk. But we believe that these are still harmful. So we see that there is that gap, regulatory gap, in place whereby in Kenya, these products are not properly defined. And that's what the tobacco industry has actually exploited. when they brought in the nicotine pouches, they were first of all registered as pharmaceutical products. Imagine. And this has done a lot of harm in that there's been a lot of influence from the industry. They also promised that they'll be bringing in investment of over 15 million US dollars into the country by building a manufacturing plant for the nicotine pouches. You know what that announcement did to policymakers? Every country wants investment. Every country wants people to come in and create employment. So I think this was just a tactic to get hold of political leaders. We have seen BAT trying to reach out to all the ministers that have been coming into the Ministry of Health, and I think even the Ministry of Trade, by luring them with such announcements that they'll be creating employment. They are bringing in 15 million USD in terms of investment. You see, these are gaps that we need to be tightened so that the tobacco industry cannot reach our policymakers the way they are doing. So we feel that we need to come up strongly in terms of challenges and address the tobacco industry. Luckily enough for Kenya, we have created a coalition, the Tobacco and Nicotine Tax Coalition, working together, bringing together civil society organization to advance the taxation issue, which we feel also needs to be exploited so that the taxation on these products goes high and very high to make the products not to be affordable. So I think this is an avenue that we feel that others can also use, pushing for taxation. Last year, despite the Gen Z protests that were in their country here, we were able to get some addition in our tax for tobacco products. So yeah, let's all, this is what our country is doing. We continue, despite the challenges, to push so that we can ban these emerging products so that the future generation does not have to use them. Thank you, Elvina. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. There's major progress that Kenya has made, but still challenges persist, and we continue to push back against the tobacco industry. We'd like to hear from the case of Ghana, followed by Zambia and Uganda. So from Ghana, Kodua, please tell us the progress that has been made. Dr. Olivia had talked about this, but just tell us more in terms of the emerging products. So over to you, Kodua.
Okay. Thank you, Avina, and thank everybody for making it a point to join our webinar today. So I think Dr. Olivia has given us a very comprehensive overview of what Ghana is currently doing in terms of the regulatory. So I'll just add up a few. See, Ghana was one of the countries that started with banning of advertisement and then promotion of tobacco products in the African region. And we've come a long way with the enactment of the Public Health Act, where the Part 6 focuses on tobacco control legislations, with which we also look at the Tobacco Control Regulation LI 224. We've done a lot in banning the sales, the promotion, advertising to, especially to our young people, which Ghana is doing so well. Through effective stakeholder engagement with CSOs working closely with the Food and Drugs Authority, we've been able to monitor the progress of how the industry is currently moving around with their product. We've been able to enhance our education with people so that they know that some of these products are not as safe as they seem. But when we look at the data, when we look at 2017, when Ghana did the Global Youth Tobacco Survey, one thing we found out was that 4.9% of youth who were in the school-going area has started using this emerging product. We have a researcher called Mr. Divine Logo. He did the research in the Upper East of Ghana, where he sampled over 2,000 students, and then we realized that about 10.5% of them were using this product, which is challenging because the least age was 10. And in Ghana, when we are talking about 10 years, we are looking at primary school students using some of these products. So even though Ghana has a very comprehensive legislation when it comes to this product, there is a huge challenge when it comes to the enforcement and then implementation. Because when we look at shisha, the industry has made it in a way to find certain loopholes. So when they bought shisha, even though when we talk about the vapes, our law effectively bans the vapes, but when it comes to shisha, that is where the conversation changes, because this shisha do have these natural tobacco leaves in there. So when it comes to that, the law has some challenges in there. So when it comes to the labeling, whether they look at the pictorial health warnings, you can, according to our law, over 50 to 60% needs to be covered with pictorial health warning. But when you look at the ones which are on the market, we are not seeing the pictorial health warning as elaborate as it should. And when we look at social media, say when we are talking about tobacco control, stakeholder engagement is one effective way that we need to look at. We do not, in Ghana, we need a Ministry of Information and other things to regulate the social media space, but most of the times they are being left out of the conversation. So whenever tobacco control regulation is moving forward, the industry always finds different ways to counter them. So they are trying using the social media space, knowing fully well how we've not been able to comprehensively have regulatory measures when it comes to the social media space. Now, we also look at the fact that one key challenge we are facing right here in Ghana is that we actually want to other countries to also know, because when it comes to Zambia, they are now having their tobacco control bill. Our bill, we did not get a tobacco control fund established when these regulation measures were going into force. And then we all know that without the lack of dedicated funding for tobacco control, it becomes a really, really challenge. So we have the legislation in effect, but when it comes to the logistical needs, the financial need, the support, it becomes a challenge because we do not have the needed financing to actually do that. And we always leave ministries like Ministry of Finance, because this is one key conversation we should have had the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Information being joined, so that they get to understand that this is what the problem is and this is what we need if we have to counter some of these things. And we also see certain challenges like limited interagency collaboration. In order to be able to counter the industry with this emerging product, the industry, they are well organized. When we were doing the tobacco industry monitoring for this year, some of the things we realized was that we are having civil society organizations who are fronting for the industry, even in Nigeria, releasing press releases here in Ghana to advocate for these novel products to be adopted by our country. But we are not seeing tobacco control advocates, interagencies, government coming together to also be working together in the coordinated effort as the industry. Then we come to the controversial Excise Duty Amendment Act, which was recently passed, where Ghana has had a comprehensive taxation on these tobacco products. And unfortunately, we have taxation being placed on e-cigarettes and e-liquids. Now, from a regulatory point of view, we've had several engagement with the Food and Drug Authority and other stakeholders, where they're giving us some details into all of these. But when you look at it from the perspective of a youth, if you tell me that this product is banned, then we are also seeing some legislations on these. You see, youth do not really, sometimes we do not really put ourselves in the conversations to understand what actually goes beyond some of these things. We take it as a face value. So just that, oh, they said it's banned, now they are putting taxations on it from the point of view, or should we just accept it and just move ahead with it or not? Because we are seeing this product on the market, we are seeing this product in our schools, and I'm not going to say we are losing the fight, but if we are not really strengthening our enforcement efforts, I think it's going to be very, very dire for us. Thank you.
Kodua, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we've seen similar challenges with Kenya in terms of regulations and the challenges Ghana is going through. So I'd want to welcome Banda from Zambia. What's the situation in Zambia? What's the progress regarding emerging tobacco products? Any gaps and challenges? Mr. Banda from Zambia. Then we'll hear about the case in Uganda, please.
All right, thank you so much. So basically, some of the challenges that we've been facing, in a way, are related to the challenges that my colleagues from both Ghana and Kenya have alluded to. But more primarily, our biggest challenge as Zambia is the lack of the tobacco control bill. Unlike our friends in Kenya that already have an established law, ours is still in draft form, and it has received a bit of progress because it has been debated upon in Parliament, but we've received a bit of pushback, especially from some of the parliamentarians who allegedly, to a certain extent, have politicized the bill, bringing up a number of arguments alluding to some of the economic benefits that tobacco farming has in Zambia. Now, with regards to the new and emerging tobacco and nicotine products, there has been an increase in the usage of these particular products, in that the new users of these tobacco smokers have actually started by using these emerging tobacco products as opposed to traditional cigarettes. Then there's also been a transition from those that have been using tobacco cigarettes and are now using these shisha and as well as other tobacco emerging products. Now, the biggest problem that we have with regards to regulatory gaps, I think the lack of a comprehensive law is one biggest problem, and a number of underlying factors that exacerbate these products are particularly the non-classification of these products. Currently, when it comes to taxation, these are being taxed under the same tax or structure as traditional tobacco products by the Zambia Revenue Authority. So they've been subjected to the same 16% VAT, the same 25% customs duty, and the same 5% surtax. However, there have been policy recommendations from civil society organizations, particularly from the Tobacco Control Consortium of Zambia, which is a coalition made up of about 22 CSOs, CTPD, where I'm coming from, being a major representative of that are pushing for some of the tax reforms that involve differential taxation, which basically calls for subjecting these particular products, these new and emerging tobacco products, to a higher tax, which in turn might increase the price of these particular products and hopefully reduce the demand that they are coming with. With regards to some of the challenges that we've faced as Zambia in enforcing these particular policies, especially in trying to reduce the affinity that young people have with these products, is I think social media. We've had a number of influencers, both portrayed on social media as well as in traditional TV and movies, that have highly promoted and advertised these particular products. And because of the way they've been created and the experience that they give, in a way that downplays the adverse effects that they have, just as much as traditional cigarette smoking, because of how they've been designed, the flavors that they come with, the coloring and the way they've been advertised. They are portrayed as a safer option to smoking, and an option that comes with a certain level of status and power, something that is primarily attractive, especially to young people. So now the Zambia Institute of Public Analysis and Research, ZIPA, recently conducted a research study where they targeted secondary school going children as well as university students, just to see the prevalence of these particular products. So they did a study which targeted about 500 young people, both from secondary schools as well as universities, and it showed that there's an 80.4% prevalence. So 80.4% of respondents reported consuming these new and emerging tobacco and nicotine products, primarily water pipe shisha being the most popular, garnering about 68% usage, as well as e-cigarettes and dry snuff. And this was also distributed amongst gender. So it also revealed that about 65% of those users were actually male. And these males were aged between 18 and 25. And another group was females, mostly who were aged a little bit older. So basically, these are some of the challenges that we've been facing as Zambia. Progress has been made, but policy is our best ally, especially in this particular context. And because of the lack of the tobacco control bill, which is basically been sitting in parliament, because some of our parliamentarians might have some sort of interest, and probably in a way they've been caught up in the net that the tobacco industry has thrown, we are yet to experience more comprehensive approaches towards addressing these challenges with regards to tobacco control in Zambia. However, efforts have been done, efforts have been put in place, especially by the civil society organization. And it is very encouraging that young people, the very target of this particular mission that the tobacco industry have, are now starting to rise up and just to, promote the advocacy against tobacco consumption and promote for tobacco control. So it's very encouraging that the young people are taking up a leading role in ensuring that the conversation is very much progressive and shows that positive impact that we're all looking for.
Mr. Banda, we really appreciate you sharing the experience of Zambia, the progress you've made, the challenges you've had, especially with the tobacco control bill. And we continue supporting the efforts that you and other institutions are making. So we'd want to hear from the case of Uganda, so that we can move a bit faster and we can be able to cover more of the questions. I'd want to give each speaker around 5 minutes to just tell us about the progress, the gaps, and the challenges. So Mr. Baguma from Uganda, the mic is yours.
I think Mr. Bakoma is having some challenges.
All
I
right.
think if we can move on till it's addressed.
Okay. We'd want to now shift to tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. That's TAPS. So what are some of the marketing strategies of emerging tobacco products in your countries? And how has the tobacco industry targeted young people? Back to you, Thomas. You had mentioned slightly about social media influencing. So how else has the tobacco industry targeted young people in Kenya? So the case of Kenya, Ghana, Zambia, and finally we'll also hear from Uganda.
Thank you very much, Elvina. In terms of the marketing strategies, as mentioned earlier, there is the issue of branding. We have this product also in very many flavors, so many of them, the sleek designs that we all talk about. And also there is a big challenge, as mentioned also, I think, is it in Ghana, whereby the social media marketing. In Kenya, the promotion, the marketing and promotion of tobacco products is banned. You are not allowed, but there's this loophole whereby when you go to TikTok, when you go to Facebook, you'll find the products are being sold there. And in fact, they promise that they deliver within 15 minutes when you put an order. So these are very huge challenge that we are trying to address with the Ministry of Health so that this can be put to a stop. The ministry has tried to reach out to the Communication Authority of Kenya, but I don't know how far they have gone. So we really need this issue of online sales and marketing to be put to a stop. And also, we have seen the use of influencers. There is a lot of influencers who are being paid to sell these products and promote them online. We have the Campaign for Safe Alternatives. This is an organization that has been very strong bringing out these products. And we are just calling upon the government to ensure that any person who promotes or sells nicotine tobacco products to young children is taken care of, because that is against the law. Yeah, so far that's what we have seen, and I think the case also resonates with other African countries, whereby these products are being promoted and sold to young people. There is also the issue of the Battle of the Minds competition. We tried to address it working together with ATCA. I think that was in 2020. But we are seeing the tobacco industry, BAT specifically, continuing with this gimmick whereby they are promoting their products using the Battle of the Minds competition. It's like they're trying to get the best minds in our country so that they can work for them. So this is something that we are pushing to bring it to an end. In 2020, we managed to stop the event from happening in Kenya. They wanted to have the event happening here in Kenya, but we were able to talk to policymakers to stop it. But we are seeing it continuing, and we think that action should be taken against this company, which is using it as a way of reaching out to university students and bringing in their products. Yeah, so far that's what I will say is happening, and I think I'll give the mic back to you. Thank you.
Okay, what about this case in Ghana? Kodwa, you can briefly tell us in 2 minutes, how is the tobacco industry targeting young people, especially with these emerging products, the e-cigarettes, nicotine pouches, and flavored shisha?
Okay, I think in the case of Ghana, we have a very interesting one. You know, the industry in Ghana do not have a website or a social media platform or anything of that sort. So they don't do the direct marketing. Now it has become the work of the peers and the youth who does that. So we have what we call the peer marketing. You know, Ghana is known for certain things like Dirty December, Friday nights out, and then the nightlife. So during this December, during the Dirty December, one thing you can see on social media was that every party, every nightclub, every outing has this product out. We try to also step out to also have some fun. You see, as a young guy, during this moment, you also want to also go out and also chill and do other things. And every venue you will go, there were shisha being smoked in public places. We had these electronic cigarettes, they were all over the place. And you know, during this time, we have people coming from different countries just to enjoy this December in Ghana. And then this is what we see. Every Friday night, people would like to go out and things. So when you are trying to get a venue, you want to go out and chill, you go to Instagram, you are just picking out any of these venue, and every venue during Fridays, you see these products being used. People are just smoking it everywhere. Then the youth come up with this thing that, oh, if they are using it, then it means that that's what fun looks like. And everybody also wants to go there and then enjoy some of these fun and other things. So the media, the industry has taken a back foot when it comes to advertising. They've left it on it because they've actually been able to proliferate some of these ideas into their head. This Sunday, we did an engagement with ICDC Kanda on ahead of the World No Tobacco Day to educate them on some of these products. And then we had one person sharing an experience. She's a teacher who one of her students brought some of these products, these vapes, to school, and every time this kid is in class, he's smoking it, or his friends and all that. The teacher sees it, The next day, the mother of the child came to the school, and then she was furious that why is the teacher seizing it from the kid, because this is just flavor. To most of the population, these are just flavor. Just like when you are doing your drink, you put in your strawberry, your blueberry, some of these flavor. It's just flavor because it smells so nice. So what is wrong with it? Because if you don't have a problem with putting some of these flavors in your drink, why should you have a problem taking in some of these things in? That is the messaging that is going around with this whole harm reduction. So right now, the industry has made it a way that we don't see that these vapes have any association with the traditional cigarette we know. So right now, that notion is leaving the system. So we even have parents who want to actually buy it and give it to their kids because it's just flavor. It's just like giving a toffee to your kid. That is what the situation looks like here in Ghana. We want to give it to our kids. We want to just make it available to them. And it has also been so much available online. When you go to Instagram, Tonaton, everywhere you go, any online store you go here in Ghana, because we do not have regulations effectively at targeting some of these online markets, it's always on our online markets, and it's really, really a challenge for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's also hear from Mr. Banda. How is the situation in Zambia? You talked about a research being done.
Yes. So basically, when it comes to the context of Zambia, some of the ways that the tobacco industry rather has used to target young people is pretty much similar to some of the things that my fellow speakers have alluded to. So basically, in the context of Zambia, the industry has taken a more psychological approach. So basically, what they are advertising or the message they are communicating is that traditional cigarette smoking is something that is no longer perceived as attractive, as cool, simply because of the repugnant smell that it comes with. So they're now making a more comparative advertising, bringing up the fact that when you smoke shisha or electric cigarettes, they have no scent, they have no aftertaste, and they have a sweet flavor. So basically, in comparison, in the terms of psychology, that seems like a much better option and a much safer option. Also, in the terms of psychological appeals, they are presenting these particular products to be safer, to be cleaner, and to be attached to more status because they look cool as opposed to traditional cigarettes. Then, when it comes to another strategy that these people use. So they have what is known as strategic placement of this particular product. So these particular products are strategically placed in places that have high volumes and traffic of young people. So in places like malls, in places like clubs, bars, and also they've also taken this approach where they're now mixing things that young people are more familiar with, and they're interacting more with things like sports betting. So on one advert, they'll have a promotion that are promising young people that once they bet on this particular soccer team, then they're going to win an amount of money. Then just at the corner of that particular advert is a poster of shisha or something that has to do with the new and emerging tobacco products. Then they've also integrated the use of these particular products, especially by portraying them in local TV shows. So we do have a local TV show called Pali, where it has been noted on some episodes that these actors have been shown to use this particular product as well as traditional smoking. So here's a young person aged 15 that is watching this movie, is a big fan of this movie, and probably a fan of this particular character. And to a certain extent, they want to emulate and imitate this character. And it turns out that this character is smoking cigarettes and does not seem to be harmed by it. This young person then go on and starts to use that particular product. So they've been promoted in movies, they've been promoted in music concerts that are very popular, especially here in Lusaka, the capital of Zambia. We do have a number of festivals, carnivals, and music concerts. And it is in those places that these particular products are sold. And it is easy for young people to consume them from there because the environment allows for such products to be sold. Then when it comes to the packaging, they've been packaged in such a way that there's not really communicate the fact that they do not have labels that say that this particular product are harmful. We also have what are known as sweet candies. So basically, these something like a sweet that can be consumed by a young person, but it is shaped in the form of a cigarette. So that particular sweet, in a way, is now conditioning this young person to get used to consuming tobacco products even before they can actually consume them. So psychologically, their mindset is being diverted towards that particular act even before they start to consume, to an extent that when they actually do start to consume, they would have already been mentally conditioned to doing that. So they've partnered with a lot of people, and a number of young people are actually falling prey to these particular strategies that the tobacco industry is employing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banda. We can see the similarities really across the various countries on how the tobacco industry uses manipulative tactics to advertise and promote their products. Mr. Baguma, are you able to speak? No problem, no problem. Would have really heard also from the case of Uganda that has been able to ban these products, these nicotine pouches and e-cigarettes from their country. A very good case of policy protecting public health. We'll talk about the last segment, which is collaboration. So how can we strengthen inter-country collaboration, knowledge sharing and coordination advocacy on tobacco control, especially in the face of aggressive marketing tactics targeting young people? We'll talk about collaboration. So welcome, Thomas. You can briefly tell us, just in a minute, I'll give you 1 minute to tell us how can we strengthen collaborative efforts. For instance, how can we help Zambia push for their bill? How can we help Ghana make even stronger progress? And also, how can Uganda play a role?
Okay, thank you, Elvina. I think one way is such forums that we are having right now, whereby we can have engagement among different countries, cross-border youth engagement, and also media campaigns. Another one is the regional policy harmonization. Like you have talked about Uganda, where they have successfully banned emerging tobacco products, but others in the region should also follow suit so that these products cannot move between borders. So Kenya should also move and ban these products. Another area that I will talk about is joint surveillance, whereby those that are in enforcement can do surveillance and see how these products are moving between different borders. And also knowledge sharing, that is very important. And a platform like ATCA, I think, brings us all together, whereby we can all work together. Organizations like CTCA and other regional organizations, they also bring us together, A-Team and the rest. All these are avenues whereby we can learn from each other and also be able to share information and use experiences from other countries so that we can all move in one direction. I think my 1 minute's over.
Yes,
Thank
your 1
you.
minute is up. Kodua from Ghana, how can we best collaborate? In 1 minute, yes, how can we work collaboratively within Africa to bring about policy changes?
Okay, so one thing we need to take notice is that civil society has always been the key bringer that brings everybody together, especially on the government side. So I think civil society and health advocates around Africa needs to first come together and make a commitment to actually come together to make sure that Africa will move in one direction. We need to also look at how do we harmonize legislations at the African level. Ghana has done a lot, but as compared to our neighboring countries, we see that there is a lot that needs to be done. But if Ghana is moving ahead without our neighboring countries moving in the same direction, then it creates this gap where the industry can leverage on in some of these things. We need to also understand this concept. If the youth are the target of the tobacco industry, how effectively are we bringing the youth on board? Because we need to understand that if we do not have the youth on our side, if we do not ask the youth, how do we counter this industry? How are they targeting you? Then we may come out with all these policies, but you know how the youth are aggressive. This Gen Z generation, they will find other ways to access these products. They will find other ways to create opportunity for the industry to leverage on it. So let's start talking about how do we bring the youth on board? How do we make sure that the youth voice are heard? How do we make sure that the youth also become effective within some of these conversations? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Zambia. Tell us, how can we help you push for the bill? How can we contribute to monitoring what the tobacco industry is doing in Zambia and help you push for that policy change? Because at the end, once the bill is passed, we want the victory to also be ours. That yes, we fought, but we also won as Africa. How do we do that?
All right, thank you so much. So basically, some of the points have already been alluded to by the previous speakers. An addition I would make particularly is create or strengthen some sort of regional policy platforms, right? So we could push for, say, a continental protocol or a declaration on these new and emerging products, much like we have the WHO Framework on Tobacco Convention. We could have some sort of regional regulatory guidelines that then reinforce and re-emphasize the advocacy towards these particular products. We could also establish regional new and emerging tobacco product surveillance and list systems, just like my colleague from Kenya did allude to, coordinate cross-border law enforcement. So if we have some of these products banned, say, around the neighboring countries of Zambia, it is actually a lot harder for these products to actually be imported in Zambia, simply because our immediate neighboring countries have actually banned them. So basically, those considered efforts would really go a long way. And also just developing a shared repository of research and best practices. So something that has collected real data on the use of this, sharing regulatory tools, draft bills, as well as policy briefs that will then help inform our local experts on what best approaches to take, when it comes to relating with the policymakers, engaging the young people, as well as setting up proper defenses against tactics of these tobacco industry. And maybe to an extent, we could also launch joint youth-focused advocacy campaigns. So much like we have our local campaigns, we could probably have a campaign on a regional level, a social media campaign, or a cross-country campaign where one series of the campaign starts in Zambia, then it goes on to Kenya, then it goes on to the other country, Uganda, and other countries. So basically, joining concerted efforts and just sharing stories and experiences, definitely that will then go a long way in ensuring that we strengthen our advocacy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banda. Yes, definitely. We will collaboratively work towards surveillance systems and regional platforms that will help us achieve the results that we desire. I'd like us to switch gears and answer a poll. The admin can help us. So we have 10 minutes to go for the webinar. Please help us. What resource would most help you, your tobacco control efforts? What resource would most help you, your tobacco control efforts? So is it technical guidance documents that will help you most in your countries? Is it trainings and workshops? Is it youth engagement tools, model legislation, or research support? So what resources would most help your tobacco control efforts in your country? Kindly go to the chat to be able to answer the poll. Just under the chat section. Under the chat section, I can see a hand up from one of the guests. If you're able to switch on your microphone, Cecilia, yes. Please go ahead and speak. All right, all right. As we continue to fill in the poll, we'll call the speakers to answer the final question. So everyone has a part to play. What is the role of national authorities, regional institutions, civil society, and youth in developing a unified strategy? We had briefly talked about this, but what else is the role of everyone in this? I'd welcome Thomas first.
Yeah,
Thomas,
thank you very much.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yes.
So Thomas, Kodua, Banda, and finally we'll wrap this up. Thank you. Over to you,
Can
Thomas.
I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone has a role in this. Civil society, as we are normally called to, like here in Kenya, they normally call on to us to make noise. They say civil society make noise. And I think our role goes beyond making noise. We do a lot of research, so we also have a role of giving accurate information. We also see those enforcement agency. Like, for example, we have in Kenya, we have NACADA, who have been very strong in terms of enforcing the shisha ban. We have seen a lot of people getting arrested, those that are going against the ban. And yeah, so for enforcement agency, we need to see heads rolling. Those that are going against the law should be held accountable, including the tobacco industry, which has been targeting children. I think it's a high time that we look forward to seeing cases like those ones that happened in the United States, whereby the industry was forced to pay people for the damages that they have caused. And this generation, we can also do that. We can take the tobacco industry to court and sue them for the damage that they are causing, including the many deaths. Yeah, so apart from that, everyone has a role, and parents need to talk to their children, maybe educate them more about what is really happening. And yeah, so in a nutshell, I would say that each and every player, they should take up their position. Those that are into policy making should come up with strong laws that are future proof, that are future, they can see in the future what will happen. So if we say that we are only dealing with emerging tobacco product, we don't know what will happen maybe in the next 20, 30 years. So policymakers should be looking at the future and knowing what the tobacco industry is trying to do in terms of engineering their products. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as Kodua prepares to speak on the role of national authorities, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box, or we'll give you 5 minutes just after this final segment. So still stay with us until the final segment, where you can raise your hand and we'll give you time to speak. So Kodua, what is the role of national authorities briefly?
Okay, so let me start by saying that I need to commend the Food and Drugs Authority for their leadership and then the efforts they've taken to address tobacco control in Ghana. Now, I think at this point, I think we need to also come in and support the Food and Drug Authority, because one of the things we are seeing is that we are having a huge issue when it comes to enforcement. And I think we can leverage on what Kenya is doing with the Solonium Fund, where we have the industry contribute a certain percentage of the revenues they are making into a fund so that the country can be used to address some of these tobacco-related challenges. But I think in order to be able to push this, we need to have other countries coming in to also support with their call, where we have the coordinated advocacy campaign, so that government can know that other countries within the African region are doing this, then we can also come in and also do that. I think we also need to take an effective approach and increase awareness when it comes to these products, because the industry is largely pushing this harm reduction narrative. And I think it has gotten to a stand where if we do not have coordinated awareness campaigns, then we are actually going to lose this fight, because we are already doing that. I think we also need to be able to come in and do that. And finally, we need to bring the key stakeholders on board, and I'm talking about the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Information and these technological aspects, because without them involved within advocacy within this fight, I don't think we will be able to deal with this fight, because they are critically placed within certain ministries with certain powers to be able to address some of these things. But the more we keep leaving them out, the more we will keep losing the fight, because we need them in order to come up with effective regulatory measures to address tobacco control in Ghana. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from the case in Zambia. What's the role of national authorities and civil society, and specifically also youth movement, because I've seen a very strong youth movement in Zambia?
Yes, so just to start with the national authorities, so like I said, policy is our best ally. So basically, if we have institutions or authorities like the Ministry of Finance come up with very comprehensive tax policy reforms that particularly target tobacco consumption, of course, tax administratively through the Zambia Revenue Authority, then that would then go a long way. The Ministry of Health, as well as, say, the Ministry of Education, simply because the largest number of users are actually young people that are actually still in schools, and those are governed under the Ministry of Education. We could also have Public Health Authority, institutions, just taking that leading role, ensuring that they promote the advocacy message. When it comes to the civil society organizations, I think what would really help is just collaborative efforts. I think especially in Zambia, we do have some sort of isolation, and working in isolation, especially of a number of civil society organizations. This then dilutes some of the efforts that we might have, even though we are advocating for a particular role. So basically having some sort of concerted efforts to just join forces as civil society organizations that will definitely go a long way. Also for the young people, I think one thing that would really, really benefit, because the young people are the targets, the young people are actually the future leaders, in fact, the present and future leaders. So basically, they are being targeted. So young people, what really would be important is coming up with youth networks like the Young Professionals Network, which basically can lead youth-centered advocacy, mobilizing young professionals and engaging in public and policy dialogue, especially if the message is even stronger when it's coming from a fellow young person to a young person that is actually consuming this particular product. So there's that peer-to-peer relationship. Also, the media, which is also known as the fourth stage, play a leading role in ensuring that the advocacy campaigns against tobacco consumption actually take a center stage, because media is what shapes societal narratives. So basically, if they're also involved when it comes to projecting the right message, showing people, educating people, and raising and sensitizing young people, as well as the message at large on what the effects of tobacco consumption may be, then definitely all those efforts put together will ensure that we have a long-standing advocacy campaign, even in the absence currently of the tobacco control bill.
Thank you so much. I'll open it up to Rhoda. Rhoda Mingle. Rhoda Mingle, do we have any questions on the question box? Rhoda, any questions to the speakers? All right, we see a few hands up. Kindly assist me to allow two questions before we welcome Mr. Labram to do the closing remarks. So just two questions. Assist me to give permission to two people to ask questions. I'm unable to see the hands that are raised, but...
Okay, so we have Mr. Peter. You can unmute and speak.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Peter Onikojo. I'm from Nigeria and also the executive director with CEDAS Free Foundation. And honestly, this is very encouraging and this is real work put into action by tobacco control advocates, despite the less number of people fighting against tobacco industry and campaigning against the product in Africa. Yeah, really, mine is not really a quick one. Really, tobacco industry has a long history of using deceptive marketing tactics to make its products seem very appealing, especially to young people. And one of their most dangerous strategies is adding flavors, as we all known, and really talk about the deceptive appeal of flavored tobacco, and also talk about the harsh reality behind the sweet taste of this particular product, and which is really, really hooking the young ones, and also talk about the young adult also to this particular product, and also talk about fighting back against big tobacco, which the government at this must be held accountable. The NGOs, the non-profit organizations, the CSOs, they are like the watchdog. We are like the watchdog. Sincerely speaking, we must keep knocking at the door of the government to ensure stronger regulations, to ensure flavor bans, and also to ensure stricter laws and comprehensive awareness campaign against this particular product, because message that is repeatedly mentioned will eventually persuade even the young ones and the children right on the street. And we must not forget, education is key. Education is very, very key. And we must also not forget, flavors hide the truth. Nicotine is always harmful. Big tobacco will always lie. And big tobacco doesn't care about our health. It's only about our money they are very careful about. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Over.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution, your rallying call to tell us that civil society are the watchdogs and we should really collaborate with government. Thank you so much. We'll have one more question. One more question.
Yeah, can we have Poma Isaac? Please, you can speak. Hello, Poma Isaac.
Yes, go ahead, Isaac.
Okay, so let's go with Mr. Foley.
Thank you very much. My question is very simple.
Yes, Mr. Foley, we can hear you.
Alright, so I want to find out. We are always on the ground working at CS. Basically, I've always had a challenge with the fact that we are unable to challenge the tobacco industry, especially with the evidence we have on the ground of violation of most of our laws. You know, I heard one of the speakers mentioning about that, the man from Kenya. Has there been any CSO that has, put up this fight to challenge the tobacco industry?
We are losing you a bit. We are losing your sound. Probably let's have the final question.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Levina. Elvina.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm saying, when are we going to have any CSO put up a fight against the tobacco industry, especially knowing the sort of violation they are perpetrating? We have the laws. We are always, trapped when it comes to enforcement. When are we going to rise, to challenge any of these, violations in any of our court of laws? Because we look relaxed. I don't know if it's an issue of fund or whatever. What is the way forward? Because there are a lot of violations and we are unable to speak. And the governments are also quiet as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. So I'd want one of the speakers to respond to that. So when are we taking action, real pushback in terms of challenging all this in the court of law? Maybe over to you, Thomas, because he has experience being challenged in court. Thomas, please tell us, when are we pushing back against the tobacco industry?
I think the pushback can come anytime. The main challenge is the resources. We have documented a lot of violations by the tobacco industry, and we hope that we can, putting up a case like that against a multinational requires you to be adequately prepared, and also for you to have a watertight case that can stand the rigorous court processes. So in terms of coming up with a case like that, we have seen in Kenya here, people trying to take the industry to court, either to ban cigarettes and such. But the industry normally relies on some of the international treaties, and especially the issues to do with the trade. That's their biggest argument. But I believe that with the time, we need to man up as Africa CSOs and challenge the tobacco industry. So I think it's doable. We can do it. We just need the resolve and the resources to start kick off such processes. It has been successful in the Americas and many other regions. I think it can also be successful here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very successful, and it can be very successful, and it's very doable. So, Mr. Foley, yes, resources can be a bit of a challenge, but it's very possible, and collectively we can take the tobacco industry to court and make them pay for all the damage that they've caused. I'd want to thank each one of you for joining us, and Labram, please, the mic is yours to close off this session. We are 2 hours in, and we'd want to conclude it there. So, Mr. Labram, over to you. And we really appreciate everyone. Mr. Labram?
Right. So thank you very much for the let me take the opportunity to thank everyone for making the time out of your busy schedule and to be with us today to discuss, to share, and then also to come up with recommendation how we can deal with these menace of industry and the industry tactics and how they are influencing our youth, manipulating and then also lobbying and policymakers to advance their deadly products in many parts of our world, especially in Africa and low resource setting. Let me thank you and the moderator, Labina, for Alvina for the wonderful moderation. I think that this is well done, and thank you so much. And again, congratulations for the award. And so this World Tobacco Day is more than a reminder. It's a call to action. We must stand together to have a few recommendations to ban all flavored tobacco and nicotine products, also to strongly regulate e-cigarettes and resist pressure from industry lobbyists, and then also support our national government. I'm talking about the Food and Drugs Authority in our countries, the Ministries of Health, the finance ministries, the Ghana Revenue Authorities, and to cut down on misleading advertisement marketing and raise taxes on these health-harming commodities like tobacco and the vapes, especially in countries where these vapes and then e-cigarette new many products are legalized. But countries that have not legalized, I think that then we should be on our feet and then continue to say no to our policymakers that we don't need e-cigarette or any form of new emerging product to reduce the use or uptake of cigarette products. Already the prevalence of smoking in Africa is low as compared to developed countries. I think that we can, if we want to, but of course, let's try and then implement comprehensively the WHO FCTC frameworks and the guidelines. If we're able to implement those ones, I think that we'll be able to continue to reduce the burden that tobacco is having on us as the people, and then encourage parents, teachers, and communities to educate young people, our children, about the dangers of tobacco and nicotine products. Finally, let me express, our sincere thanks to Dr. Mrs. Olivia Boatin for her insightful presentation that gave us, an overview of the national trend and then also the global perspective with respect to, tobacco and new and emerging products. And then also to our partners who collaborated with us, the Ghana NCD Alliance, the Ghana NCD Alliance, we have the Vision for Sustainable Development, we have the African Tobacco Control Alliance, ATCA, and then also the KETCA as well, and then the Levin organization, sorry, I'm unable to recall, but and everyone who supported this event. Finally, let me thank, the panelists, from Uganda, that's Thomas, a very good friend of mine. Thank you for joining. And then, Thomas from Kenya, a very good friend of mine. Thank you for joining. And then also the representative from Uganda as well. And though you have problem with your connection, but we are so grateful for your commitment to the cause. And then also representative from the Zambia, from the CTPD, for making time to join us. And then also, finally, Godfred Chinimbo Akodia, from Ghana for representing. And then let me take the opportunity to once again thank Levina for moderating. Let us protect our future by acting now. Let us speak up, educate, and advocate, and hold our policymakers and everyone, including the industry, accountable. For the damage that the industry is causing. The cost of inaction is far too high, and tobacco-free future is possible. So let's act now to reduce the burden and the upsurge in non-communicable diseases. I thank you all for making the time.
Thank you all. Goodbye. The recording of this webinar will be available. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.